Hey you guys, welcome back to another video at That Time Bakery. Make sure you follow us on all our social media. I don't know why I say us because it's just me. Make sure to follow me on all of That Time Bakery's social media websites. The links are below. By the way, we are Facebook official and you know all things are real when it's on Facebook. Let's get into it. This is an embed accessory heavy type soap, so we're going to start off with some prepping here. I will post the link, you guys, to where I got this really cute mold. I only have one. I'm definitely going to go back and get some more. It just creates the cutest freaking toast embeds, and I also want to make it clear I added just a pinch of King Gold's mica, which gives it this kind of realistic toast color. Next, we're going to move on to the banana embeds, and that is yellow mica by Brambleberry. I'm mixing just a pinch of that with some white melt and pour soap. You guys, now we're going to move on to the chocolate chips. I made this delicious looking bar of soap the night before. As someone had commented on Instagram, it does truly look like a Snickers bar, but alas, it is not. So I made 15 ounces of soap here, and we're going to cut up 6 ounces of soap, and we're going to cut them up small enough to look like chocolate chips, and that's what we're going to end up putting into our soap. So I'm using my Brambleberry 5-pound mold. The liner itself that I use within the mold holds 52 ounces of oils. Since I'm going to be using about 6 pounds or 6 ounces of chocolate chips, I'm going to reduce my recipe from 52 ounces of oils to 46 ounces of oils. Right, we're done with the embeds and the chocolate chips. Now we're going to move on to the rest of the soap making. So right there you see me adding sodium lactate into my lye and kaolin clay water. These are my melted oils and butters. I'm going to go ahead and add in that lye water. In this moment, I realized that a little bit of kaolin clay did not mix in with the lye water and was stuck at the bottom. So I'm just going to go ahead and dump that in because I'm going to be stick blending shortly, so that'll properly mix everything together. So I have muted the blending, but I'm not blending the entire time. I stick blend and hand mix and stick blend and hand mix just so that I don't speed up tracing too much. And in the spirit of fall and winter, what would this soap be without a healthy dose of pumpkin extract? So we're adding that into the soap right now. And lastly, I'm going to go ahead and add in my lovely fragrance oil. Alright, so we're going to work on the base of the soap. What we're looking at here is 3 grams of cocoa powder mixed with safflower oil. So I'm shooting for a cocoa base here at the bottom of the bar. So I'm just going to pour 15 ounces of our soap mix into here. And then shortly you will see me kind of mix it all together to get a beautiful cocoa color. Alright you guys, so I sped this up, but I'm just going to keep on mixing till I have that beautiful unison brown color. So we're going to pour all 15 ounces of that beautiful brown into the lining. You guys, so here are the 6 ounces of chocolate chips that we cut. I hope you can see how much darker it is now that time has passed. And we're going to go ahead and add into the remainder of the soap, which is starting to set, so I gotta make haste. Just pour it in there, mix it up really well, and let's go. Here's the fun part, just pour it in, y'all, pour it in, and we're not trying to maintain any kind of neat, even layer. So if by pouring this in it breaks through to the bottom, that's embraced in this soap, it'll all come out fine. And I'm just gonna go ahead and pat out any bubbles that I may or may not have had lurking in there. And you can see that reducing the 6 ounces that we ended up adding later seemed to work very well for the recipe. And now after I just kind of clean up and add whatever else is left in the bucket, we're going to go ahead and add our embeds. Alright, there is no rhyme or reason as to how I'm placing these embeds. I just want them to fit. What I've noticed works for me is 8 slices of toast, you guys, and at least 10 banana embeds. The last time I made it, 8 slices of toast as well, and I think I was able to fit 12 embeds, or 13 embeds actually. Just depends on how you kind of shape things, but it doesn't really matter, you guys, because we're going to drizzle the heck out of this in a little bit and add a lot of decor on top, as you will see shortly. You guys, so this is what we have so far. Now I am going to make 3 ounces of soap so we can pipe some chocolate kisses on top. So it's clearly too soon to pipe, but me no care. It was after midnight and I was just so exhausted. So what I'm kind of doing is more of pouring it in there as opposed to actually piping it, because it was pouring out, as you can see, but it didn't end up looking too shabby, you guys. So not only am I adding the chocolate kisses in between the embeds and empty areas, I'm also adding it on top of the embeds. And the reason why I like to do so is when you actually cut the loaf and you have the individual bars, it adds really cool layers on top. And this is now what we have here. We're going to go ahead and spray that with some rubbing alcohol and let it sit overnight. And then the next day, we are going to unmold it and we're going to add our chocolate drizzle and cut the loaf. It's the next day. I needed instant gratification from my instant coffee, because I looked at my loaf of soap and it had so much soda ash on it, the most I have ever seen. So this is my loaf after I spent a lot of time scraping most of it off, but I saved one for you so I could show you just how thick that was. That is just crazy to me. I've just never had this much on my soap before. But this soap had a lot of aesthetic details to it, so it was important that I spent some time scraping that off because that would affect the way that it looked. The part that I'm most thankful for is that ash does not affect the performance or the properties of the soap. It's merely a matter of aesthetics, but I'm a sucker for aesthetics, you guys, and I just couldn't have this on my soap and have it fulfill the vision that I had in mind. So I had to scrape as much of it off. Then when I scraped it off, I also molded it or smoothed it out as best as I could with my fingers. All right, you guys, we've done whatever we can with the chocolate chips, and you can see they don't look all that terrible, especially given that we're going to be covering them and adding a lot more zhuzh to the top of the soap to complete it. So let's just go ahead and unmold this lovely loaf. For the sake of formality, I won't say rubbing alcohol, I'll say isopropyl alcohol. This is 99%. But what I am going to do is I'm putting a little bit of that on, and then I'm going to go over that and sprinkle some gold eco-friendly glitter. I'll be sure to list that below for you guys, of course. And after that, we're going to go ahead and get our clear melt and pour soap ready for the chocolate drizzle. So I'm going to be using a combination of gingerbread mica and chocolate brown mica from Wholesale Supplies Plus. And I like to use the clear melt and pour soap for my drizzle. I just find that it just takes on a lot more color, and I can use a lot less mica. I want to see if it's concentrated enough, so I'm going to pour a little bit of that on an extra embed that I have. But the fact that I can see through the drizzle, to me, means that I am not where I want to be as far as the thickness. So I'm going to add a little bit more mica, and I'm going to do another test and show you so you can actually see what the heck I'm talking about, you guys. So I hope you can see here how the bottom one, which is more concentrated, is darker than the one on top. That is what we're looking for, so when I do pour the drizzle, it's not going to be light. So normally with this soap, I wouldn't actually be so targeted in covering the chocolate chips, but because the texture is not smooth, I'm going to make sure to spoon a little bit of chocolate drizzle on every bit of chocolate chip you see here on the soap before moving forward with the formal all over the place drizzle, okay? This not only doubles as a soap cutting machine, but it's also a workout machine. I find that it works out my abs, and let me tell you, I feel like I'm doing crunches every time I'm pushing down on this bad boy. It is a workout, but we're gonna get through it. Watch the struggle, watch the struggle. Oh, we made it. All right, here's the big reveal. Here's the soap end, but wait a minute. That does not match the picture you guys saw on the thumbnail. And that's because this soap will darken significantly over the next week to its true color. Soap ends are awesome goodies. What I like to do is once the soap is done curing, I will test out the soap end, make sure that the pH of the soap is appropriate. And then with the other soap end, I like to cut that up and give it to my customers so that they can sample various soaps. A bit ago, I mentioned how I like stacking the chocolate chips on top of some of the embeds, and I hope as I've been cutting this, you guys can see why. It just adds cool textures and layers on top of the soap. In about a week's time, this soap is going to deepen to the darkest shade it's going to be, but that's significantly darker than what you see here, and I am perplexed. The fragrance oils that I use in this soap do not have vanillin in it. And so I'm wondering if it's the pumpkin extract. I'll be sure to figure it out. But you guys, I almost forgot to mention these will be available for purchase on November 9th. So here I'm stacking the soaps on top of one another so you guys can see what the top of the bars look like. Because as a loaf, I think it does look a little cray-cray, but when you see it like this, you can see how beautiful it all turns out. Curiosity killed the cat, but I've got to figure it out only because it affects my planning and what I expect my soaps to look like. So I want to know and understand the properties of everything that I'm using. But this soap here was made 3 weeks prior. So you can see that this is the color that it deepens to, which is why I made sure to put that in the thumbnail to set realistic expectations. But you guys let me know what you think. As always, thank you so much for watching. Bye.